Enjoy your Zoa. Oh, no applause? You're all fired. This is for all you multi-talented, multitasking, multi-everything people out there. Take it away.
Find your glory, write your story, fearless feet will carry you. Time you own it, take your moment, be a fire burning through. Hustling from night until morning, grinding it out, it won't be long. Feel your power, it's your hour, you inspire, you are strong.
Enjoy your Zoa. Oh, no applause? You're all fired.
Hey, good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Money. Are you ready? They are ready. Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here this morning.
It's always a good time.
That's what the show's about.
That's good.
Really good.
Very good.
Coming in hot. Jimmy coming in hot.
It's far from elementary.
Good morning, America.
I'm not going to try to strut like Michael or anything.
I have known George a long, long time.
Have you ever gotten him to dance?
Look at that face.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'll be here.
I am here and so happy.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'm in.
That tells you something when Snoop Dogg's in. Michael, George, Lara, Ginger.
Well, hello to you, and you. One thing to know and two things for sure. I always know how to put a tour together, don't I? Good Lord Jesus. Today was a epic day. If you missed it this morning during the morning edition of Braylon's Virtual Tour Live, the verdict was read. Sean Diddy Combs did not get the RICO charge, but he did get prostitution, right? So he could be facing up to 20 years in prison. And there was a lot of rumors today that he would be getting out. Child, we got an update for that. We got an update for you on that. So a lot went down after we got off of being on tour. With that being said, let's get to it. Higher is waiting. Lower is available. But either way, we are live on tour. Let's make it do what it do there and take down that iconic intro there. You see that virtual tour background. Yes, you do. You hear that virtual tour music. Yes, you do. And then there is a me. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Glad to have all you here. Let's get to the getting and doing what we do once again, because we got a lot to talk about. Believe me here. All right, here we go here. So it's updated now. So when we were together on tour, you and me, all of us here, let's see here. So we were, it's been a lot going on. So let's see. We were at as you can see, it was a lot. Okay, it was a lot. So all these updates right here, all of these. Trying to figure out where we are. Right here. We were right here 7 hours ago. So as you can see, a lot of updates to catch you up on, child. So let's get to it. Right here, some music industry insiders believe Combs can make somewhat of a comeback. Ramel, the hometown Heat Brown, a former hip-hop disc jockey or DJ at 105 at 153 K Jams in Tulsa, Oklahoma, believes that depending on how many years he gets, I can see Diddy returning to the music industry without much backlash. He won't be celebrated as he was, but he is powerful and has connections. He added, noting that music fans can be very forgiving. But then there are those who still believe the music executive still has legal troubles ahead. The reality is this is far from over. Diddy is still facing dozens of civil lawsuits that he'll have to contend with. So he's going to be in a very long legal fight, said Shamira Ibrahim, a freelance cultural writer. The biggest impact from the case is how eyes were open to how Diddy weaponized his position in the music industry to abuse women and to put people in secure positions that won't go away anytime soon. So, high likelihood Combs could be released today. This was at 11:31 a.m. The defense asked for Combs' release from prison and for him to be allowed to live in his Miami home, while knowing that his plane was already sequestered. NBC legal analyst Kristen Gibbons-Fieden said, "I think there's a high likelihood that he walks today. Keep in mind what the jury found," Fieden said, noting he was found not guilty of the most serious charges, sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy. So they really ripped out the threat element. They ripped out the violent element. They ripped out the violent parts of what the prosecution used as the main thing to keep them in bail. Fieden explained, with his plane sequestered, with him and being Miami, and the fact that he's a celebrity where he can't really go unnoticed, there's a high likelihood that the judge may release him on bail today, she added. Right here, this guy right here, who is a Combs supporter, standing outside the courthouse. Chiuchi, child, how did y'all mamas and daddies name y'all? But Chiuchi Edwards said today's verdict was wonderful. Edwards, 49, has attended the trial at least 15 times over the last few weeks. He arrived at the courthouse at 2:15 a.m. today to secure a spot in the main courtroom. I'm a black man. He's a black man. We're both from New York City. Edwards said, if it could happen to him, in my opinion, it can happen to anyone. I believe they tried to railroad him. They tried to target him. And I think they tried to take him down. He added, describing Combs' charges as umped up and exaggerated. Edwards felt that Kassan everyone's racketeering, and that's in that lifestyle, flying women out, doing drugs and things like that. He said if he could speak to Combs directly, Edwards said he would tell him to get help. The man definitely has a lot of problems, drug problem. He definitely has a drug problem, Edwards said. I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to slow down the lifestyle he had, seek help. Sir, he was planning freak-offs leading up to his arrest. You dumbass. This man is a dumbass. And he's 49. He's got more behind him than in front of him. But let's roll on. SDNY honors victims for coming forward to tell harrowing stories. U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, released a joint statement with the Homeland Security Investigations Field Office following the Combs verdict. The statement thanked victims, prosecutors, and investigators, but did not address the acquittal on the highest counts. The statement recognized that sex crimes are all too present in society, and that prosecution requires brave victims to come forward and tell their harrowing stories. Victims endure gut-wrenching physical and mental abuse, leading to lasting trauma. The statement said New Yorkers and all Americans want this scourge to be stopped and perpetrators to be brought to justice. So, what will the same sentencing process look like? From here, the defense and prosecution will submit to the court what they believe is an appropriate sentence for Combs. Attorney Misty Maris told NBC's Laura Jarrett that Combs' team will likely ask for no more jail time considering the time served, and the prosecution will likely ask closer to the maximum recommendation. From there, a probation department will review the case and make a recommendation based on various factors, including the fact that this is the first time that he's been convicted of this type of charge and his behavior behind bars. The judge is really limited in those sentencing guidelines. There's discretion up to that 10 years, but they're going to use those guidelines in order to really pin down what will be appropriate under the circumstances. Give him 10 years for each charge that he got. Move on. Done. Could 47 pardon Combs? Because Combs was convicted of federal charges. President 47 could theoretically pardon him. Combs and 47 had a friendly relationship before the real estate tycoon entered politics, and the president suggested to reporters a few weeks ago that he'll be open to considering a pardon. Well, nobody's asked 47 told the reporters at the end of May, but I know people are thinking about. I know they're thinking about it. I think people have been very close to asking. First of all, I look at what's happening. I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He said the music mogul used to really like me a lot. I think when I ran for politics, he sort of that relationship busted up. From what I read, I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden, so I don't know. 47 said, I would certainly look at the facts. If I think someone was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact. The White House did not immediately respond to requests. Then the White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the verdict. We're almost there. Now, this interaction right here is crazy, and this red bastard wasted a life that should have been swallowed by his fucking mother. See, if I was there, I would say, you know what? Hopefully your wife or daughters don't get raped tonight in New York City. Oh, I would have took it there. Would not have given two fucks, dams, or issues about it. Just wait till y'all see this shit. Two men with opposing views on the Combs conviction screamed at each other outside the courthouse this morning, arguing over the severity of Combs' actions. One man in a denim jacket and sunglasses questioned a man in a red shirt and bucket hat on whether Combs is going to prison and whether Combs is going to prison. The man in denim yelled that he beat her. It doesn't matter. The man in red said he beat her. He kicked her. The man in denim shot, and she liked it. How about that? The man in red screamed back. Ventura testified that Combs beat her on multiple occasions, and text messages show that she confronted him several times over the matter. After he attacked her at a Los Angeles hotel in 2016, Ventura wrote to Combs that she was not a rag doll. She's somebody's child, according to messages entered into evidence. Now, I just want to let everybody know, trigger warning for what you are about to hear. This happened literally after we got off of being on tour this morning. Here we go.
Is he going to prison? 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 I don't know. He beat her. He beat her. He beat her. He kicked her. He spit on her. You can't handle the truth. 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 This guy, what he's talking about. I got a question. What's up? Have you ever been so in love? Because I have, man. Hold on. Have you ever been so in love that you would do things that you would never? Hold on. Don't catch me. I'm asking you, have you ever been so in love that is it a possibility that Cassie Ventura went through things like this horrific, horrible things that this that you saw me? We can agree the videos were horrible, right? Is it possible that she did things that she wouldn't know because she was so in love with this man? The answer is yes or no. Because I gotta tell you, man, I've done things for women that because I was so in love with them. All I want to do, hold on. All I want to do is put a smile on their face. Yes. Yes. You know what I'm trying to say? At the end of the day, we all have cell phones. 911. If she thinks sex, if she thinks sex, if she thinks sex,
like I said, I hope his wife or daughter does not get raped in New York City. Because I have a feeling that he will be very pissed off about that. But at this point, I don't think he gives a fuck about women if he would say that. I really don't. So, fuck his existence. I pray that the wife and daughters and any women who are associated with that bastard, I hope that they have some grown men in their family to whoop his motherfucking ass. Put him in a coma. Let him go sleep for a minute. He ain't gonna miss shit. All right, moving on. Then gonna be on Mims Live. And y'all, listen, he said that this guy Torre got fired. Like, bruh, stop it. And why does that look like Kevin Hunter? Like low-key in the background, but I know that's not Kelvin Hunter. Wendy Williams' ex-husband, child. Okay. So, influencers celebrate a new wave of trial coverage amid several journalists scoring NYPD press credentials outside the courthouse. An army of influencers competed for the same story. Among them was Los Angeles-based YouTuber Armand Wiggins, who has more than 285,000 followers, and has been chronicled the trial from the courthouse since it began roughly 2 months ago. Wiggins declined to say how he felt about today's verdict, saying that he tries to maintain a level of independence. But for him and other influencers out here today, the end of the trial was nothing short of victorious. We changed the face of media. We changed the face of how news gets out. Wiggins said it was a fight in the beginning because a lot of times people don't respect the new media, but I'm one of those people who's willing to fight I'm one of those people who's willing to fight with the traditional media because we do numbers. Wiggins said since he began covering the trial, he has gained about 60,000 new followers on YouTube and nabbed several radio, TV appearances, including on TMZ and News Nation. This is just the very beginning. At some point, the courts will have to adjust to that change and make credential spaces for influencers, he said, because at this point, we've infiltrated the judicial system. And that's very true. To every single content creator that was in New York, making it do what it do, salute to each and every single one of y'all. I really mean that shit. I really mean that. Let's see here. This is Janice Combs, the woman who birthed this piece of shit bastard. Combs' mother, Janice, returned to the courthouse about an hour after the family left. She waved to a roaring crowd of her son's supporters gathered outside the federal buildings, blowing kisses at fans. It's unclear what prompted her return. Righty then. So, what the split verdict means in layman's terms, everybody. In finding Combs not guilty on counts 2 and 4, the sex trafficking former girlfriends Cassie Ventura and Jane Juris essentially said they don't believe there was proof beyond a reasonable doubt they were coerced or forced into sex acts. Both counts carried 15-year minimum sentences and possibly life. So Combs' acquittal over those charges was a huge victory. The former girlfriends testified that they felt that they had no choice but to go to hotels and homes to perform in freak-offs, in which they have sex with other men as Combs watched or recorded them. Combs was convicted on counts 3 and 5. The Man Act, transportation of women. The jurors essentially agreed with prosecutors that Combs paid male escorts to fly around the country to have sex with his girlfriends. Now, y'all, we're going to get to the video here in just a little bit. Wait till you see this shit. Combs supporters celebrate outside court with baby oil. The mixed verdict was welcomed by Combs supporters who danced a celebration with baby oil outside the court. A shirtless man cut a rug outside federal court to show his joy for Combs. A woman in a bikini followed up with her celebratory dance. She removed her wig while a man drizzled baby oil on her from a nearby ledge. Combs' use of baby oil in various sex acts was a frequent topic of testimony. Child, you cannot make this stuff up at all. Do you hear me? You cannot make this stuff up at all. Give me a moment, child, because, oh my Lord, I'm just like, really? Really? I mean, after a serious case, we can't behave like good. It's a damn shame. It really, really is. Hang on. Trying to see here. Because I think I remember saving it. I think. Hang on. Let me go to the shade room. Oh, you know what? I know what it is. That's what it is. Okay. See, I just had to utilize my brain. Let's see here. Is it because I know I saved it? There was one video in particular here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wait till y'all see this shit right here. This does not make any damn sense, but we'll get to that here in just a little bit. Child, streets around courthouse swelling with Combs supports. A large police contingent moved into the streets around the federal court with crowd controlling barricades going up. Worth Street was blocked off to traffic as Combs fans and onlookers add to the chaotic scene. They appear to be waiting for Combs' defense team, perhaps the defendant himself, to appear at some point this afternoon. So, how Combs' verdict could affect his civil cases. While Combs' federal trial has reached a verdict, he still faces a deluge of lawsuits. Defense attorney Misty Morris said those cases will go on. Combs won't have the same Fifth Amendment rights he had in criminal cases. In civil cases, he can be compelled to testify if brought to trial. The fact that he's not guilty on many of these charges is going to be something the defense in those civil actions are going to raise. They are going to say that that a lot of these civil suits allege that there's apparent conduct. Well, look at this criminal case. There's been a determination. That being said, it's not binding on any of those. So those continue on. Morris says she also noted that the standards in civil and criminal courts are different. In criminal court, the prosecution must prove charges beyond reasonable doubt. In a civil court, it's called preponderance of the evidence. Morris says he can be found liable or not guilty, and the result of that is civil charges, meaning money, not jail time. And if y'all remember when O.J. Simpson stole, the cleats and this, that, and the third, he went to jail. And a lot of people celebrated that win because the criminal trial, he got away with it. And there was a black woman, the Made in America O.J. documentary, said, listen, first time we let you go because you're black, but this time you're on your own. I'll never forget that. That was a very powerful statement. When asked if he could plead the fifth, and says he doesn't want to do anything to incriminate himself, Morris said, at this point, the only time you could see the fifth being played is when there's a real risk of criminal prosecution. So as it relates to these charges, no. If it relates to potential drug issues and stuff like that, yes, I can see that there would be maybe be an argument, but you get a lot less of a right, a lot less rights as a defendant in a civil case than you do in a criminal. So there's that there. Combs' verdict brought disappointment, but not surprise. To many online. While Combs supporters celebrate outside the federal courthouse in downtown Manhattan, others expressed disappointment over the case online. Many on Twitter posted that they were disappointed but not surprised at today's verdict. Some felt that the prosecution's case presented a weak case on top charges, while others know that the jury's majority being men might have hurt the case. One user wrote that his acquittal on the top charges is another representation of how evil our system is to women. Another person wrote that it's clear Diddy is a criminal. He committed domestic violence, DV, physical and sexual assault, the user wrote, but they didn't seek those charges, and so he won't have to pay for those crimes. Might pay in the civil. So there is Diddy bent over, and if you see the thumbnail, that's exactly what it says. So you're familiar with this position, huh? Okay. All right. Moving on. Yes, indeed. Combs was on his knees. Oh, Lord Jesus. Wouldn't be the first time, allegedly, in the courtroom with his head down in a chair, seemingly praying after avoiding life in prison on the highest charges in his case. Hey, Diddy, you know you can still face 20 years, right? So you're not really out the woods yet. So let's keep rolling. Rat spooks large contingent of journalists outside the courthouse. Screams erupted from outside the downtown Manhattan courthouse, this time from the press. Barricades did little to stop a rat from making its way through the large contingent of reporters waiting outside the courthouse, causing a brief moment of confusion and a bit of levity. Rico's the rat's name yelled a person referring to Combs' racketeering charge. Physically ill Aubrey O'Day reacts to mixed verdict. Aubrey O'Day, a former member of girl group Danny Kane, reacted to the Combs verdict this morning with just one word. The longtime critic of Combs posted an Instagram story in which she reacted live to each count as it was read on the news, knowing that he was not guilty on the top counts. O'Day wrote over the post with just one word: wow. Ugh, this makes me feel physically ill, she said. She later added that she felt she was going to vomit. O'Day also seemed to express sympathy for Ventura, saying Cassie must feel so horrible. Diddy's family returns to the courthouse. Members of Combs' family, including several of his children, just returned to the courthouse. Combs' mother, Janice Combs, re-entered the courthouse just a bit ago. So this was at 1:01 p.m. So this is from 11 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. to 1:01 p.m. I'm catching you up to all of the updates. 50 Cent trolls Combs after the verdict. Of course he did. Long-time Combs rival 50 Cent had a crude take on Combs' generally good morning in federal court today. He posted an apparently AI-generated image of him smiling and made an off-color remark while comparing Combs to the late mob boss John Gotti. Diddy did beat Rico, that boy a bad man. 50 Cent captioned the photo, apparently referring to the Rico at charge. Right here, Combs' mom was celebrating at a courthouse cafeteria. Cafeteria food never tastes so good for Janice Combs as she went to grab lunch before court resumes. When someone asked if she was happy about the mixed verdicts that generally favored her son, the defendant's mother said, "Yes, I was happy. Wouldn't you be happy?" Child, I don't think anybody would want to be happy about a mixed verdict that could potentially lock their son up for 20 years for abusing women. But hey, what do I know, though? I'm just a black man talking on YouTube. The cafeteria was packed with courtroom spectators. The elder Combs shook hands with them before walking to a table with the defendant's family and friends. So Diddy's best friend Charles Lucci addresses reporters. Combs' best friend Charles Lucci was overjoyed, said jurors got it right. Everyone happy that the juries got it right. He told reporters outside the court it restores faith back into the justice system. He said the not guilty verdict brought him to tears. I cried. Lucci said, "I cried because that's my brother up there on trial." Charles Lucci, just to let you know, he could still face 20 years. So he's not in the woods yet. But hey, I mean, stupid is and stupid does. Let's roll on.
8 weeks of us being out. What were the vibes in the van when you guys came out of the court after hearing the verdict?
Everybody was excited and still shocked, but everybody's just happy that that the jury got it right, man. That's what, and it restores faith back into the the justice system, right? Like that was good.
Are they holding? Are they holding me down today? I got a good look at her. She was really red. She was really crying. How was she in the car when she got in? When she heard the verdict and everything?
I mean, everybody's emotional. So it's an emotional moment. You know what I'm saying? And we just give it all to God. That's it. For you, you've been here every day since this trial started. Yeah. What was your emotion as the jurors were the verdict was being read by the jurors? I cried. And I cried because it's my brother up here. And you never know how it was going to go. Follow me. When I heard,
you said you cried?
Yes, I did. When I heard,
you know what? That's good.
Let me ask a question. That's going to help us.
Is his family hoping he'll be out today? Is his family hoping he'll be out today?
Strangers are fans and haters are people you know.
All right, another fucking dumbass. Lord Jesus. You know what? I guess God created snakes, cockroaches, Wanda, dumbasses, and wastes of life to let us know what to avoid in life, I guess. The courtroom, by the way, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if you let it fly, it must apply. Court is opening up as Combs awaits decision on his release. The courtroom has opened up roughly 20 minutes after the 1 p.m. deadline for both sides to submit their arguments on Combs' release. His defense argued that he should be released to his Miami home with conditions that include a $1 million secured bond. Now that he's no longer charged with sex trafficking, prosecutors disagree vehemently, arguing that Combs spent years violating the law and he's a risk that he's going to commit more crimes. The judge asked them to each submit letters for arguments that he would consider in the afternoon. Now, if you remember, right, he got, denied bail 3 times for $50 million each, right? And not to mention, too, in that same token, right, I get that he wants to go home, but, bruh, you still commit crimes. You got a split verdict. That does not mean that you are not guilty. You are still guilty of committing crimes. So, yeah, of course you are not going to be released. I swear, I feel like some people really did not have a village around them, but maybe Dave's village just saw that he wasn't worth investing in. So they just didn't give a fuck about him. And I mean, if you ever want to show your kids what happens when you don't care about yourself, just show them Diddy. Consecutive sentences are where it could play a role in Combs' case, legal analyst said. Prosecutors said that they will ask for Combs to be sentenced to the consecutive 10-year terms, the maximum time for his 2 guilty counts, but how much time he spends in prison remains to be seen. Consecutive sentences are rare, and any sentence handed down against Combs will include the 9 months he's already spent in jail awaiting this just concluded trial. A judge deputy reads the verdicts before the U.S. District Judge Aaron Surian. So there he is there with that smug look on his face. But, sir, you're going back into the jail. Like, you're not out of the woods. Like, this is not a win for you. And by the way, to Charlie, whatever the fuck your name is, piece of shit bastard, God had nothing to do with this shit. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Child, don't make no damn sense. Combs' sex trafficking acquittal is a stain on the criminal justice system, women's advocacy group says. The Combs verdict threatens to undo the sacrifice of those who came forward to justify the abuse they endured, according to a statement from Ultraviolet, a national women's advocacy organization. Interim director Archina Hatch said the group stands with the brave women and men who took the stand to reveal who Combs really is. Combs was acquitted on the top charges of sex trafficking and racketeering, but convicted on the lower charges regarding transportation for prostitution. Today's verdict is not just a stand on the criminal justice system that for decades has failed to hold accountable abusers like Diddy. It's also an indictment of a culture in which not believing women and victims of sexual assault remains endemic, Hatch said. Could not say it better myself. Combs' defense offered $1 million bond to surrender his passport. Okay, child. Combs' attorneys formalized a request to have Combs released on secured $1 million bond, co-signed by his mother, sister, and eldest daughter. Their letter to the court insists that Combs has been a mild prisoner over the last several months. Like he had a fucking choice to be a mild prisoner. The fuck? And poses no flight risk. He's guilty of crimes. I'm not gonna get on to his eldest daughter. No. Now the mother and sisters are pieces of shit bitches for co-signing this $1 million bond. They're both some piece of shit bitches. Okay? All right. Not talking about the eldest daughter. The eldest daughter had nothing to do with this. Okay? Now, Christian Combs and Justin Combs are 2 grown-ass men. Okay? They're 2 grown-ass men that both got SA lawsuits on them. So, I don't want to hear shit about them. They asked for a bail package that will include Combs agreeing to surrender his passport to pretrial services and restricting his travel to Florida, California, New York, and New Jersey. This defense team is so damn stupid. What? So he committed crimes in California where his home was busted. Okay. He committed crimes in Florida where his home was busted. He was in New York to be arrested, but still finalizing and making freak-offs leading up to his arrest, rather. And New Jersey, all 4 states, prostitution is illegal. Ooh, y'all so fucking damn stupid. Mr. Combs stands convicted of 2 acts, and his sentencing exposure is substantially lower than when the government initially sought detention. The lawyer said the court should release Mr. Combs on proposed conditions. Bail hearing set for 5 p.m. Judge Miriam set Combs' bail hearing for 5 p.m. today. So if the defendant does get out of jail, it probably won't happen until later today. The government is seeking to keep Combs in custody until his sentencing. Combs looking at far less time in prison. Combs is looking at dramatically less time in prison than prosecutors previously wanted to pursue, according to a letter submitted to the court to keep him detained, while Combs previously told the court that they would be seeking a maximum 20 years in prison combined on 2 counts. The letter now says sentencing guidelines will range from at least 51 to 63 months. Okay, well, just max them out 63 months for each count then. The prosecution also argues in the letter that Combs is not entitled to release on bond. U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton argued that Combs assaulted one of the victims, Jane, while he knew he was under investigation. Even if detention wasn't mandatory here, which it is, the defendant cannot meet his burden to show by clear and convincing evidence that he's not likely to flee or pose a danger to any other person or the community, the letter said. So right here, several of Combs' children are leaving the courthouse against the 5 p.m. bail hearing, ahead of the 5 p.m. bail hearing, rather. Here we go.
Hi, guys.
Young Diddy, you got that walk.
Look at this dog. That dog is like just happy.
How are you guys? Good smiles, good smiles.
Okay, so I just want to point this out right there, and well, of course the happy dog right there. We love a happy dog, and then right here. Now I don't know if that is Christian Combs' girlfriend or not, but child, this bastard got an SA lawsuit and he's got a girlfriend, and then Justin Combs also has a lawsuit and that's his girlfriend. Child, I don't get that. I don't get that, but go off, kings and queens. Oh, I'm sorry. Y'all stagnant princes and princesses that can never compete with progressive kings and queens. Moving on. Former Combs stylist says defendant was an immediate threat to victims and witnesses. Former stylist Denante Nash urged the judge to keep Combs in custody as he's allegedly still a serious and immediate threat to victims, witnesses, and the broader community. Prosecutors have also asked the judge for Combs to remain in jail as he awaits sentencing. Nash testified that he witnessed Combs physically abuse Cassie Ventura. Many of us have firsthand knowledge of the fear he instills in those around him. Nash said in a letter submitted today by prosecutors, I can say without hesitation that he's a serious and immediate threat to victims, witnesses, and the broader community. His pattern of violence, particularly while engaged in the trafficking of individuals for prostitution, combined with unchecked substance abuse, makes it clear he's not ready to re-enter society safely or responsibly. Very well said. Cassie's attorney asked judge to reject Combs' release. Attorney Doug Windor, who represents Ventura, submitted a letter asking the court to deny Combs' release. Windor referred to part of the Bail Reform Act to say detention is mandatory after convictions on the Manning Act charges. Wait a minute. Cassie's attorney's like, hold on, motherfucker. Now, you ain't going to jail for life, but motherfucker, the law can be used, will be used, and I am going to utilize it to whoop your ass. He said, that detention is mandatory after convictions on the Manning Act charges. Damn. And the defense team really thinks they're going to have careers after this. Ooh, Lord. He added that Ventura believes that Mr. Combs is likely to pose a danger to victims who testify in this case, including herself, as well as to the community. Kesha says, Cassie, I believe you. I love you. Your strength is a beacon for every survivor. Grammy-nominated singer Kesha came to Cassie Ventura's side, calling her a beacon for every survivor. Combs videotape being a Ventura and her lawsuit against him were linchpins to the government's prosecution, which ended this morning with 2 convictions and 3 acquittals. Kesha's hit single TikTok in 2009 has the popular lyrics "Wake up in the morning, feel like P. Diddy," but she changed the words to "Fuck P. Diddy" during Coachella appearance last year. Very nice change, Kesha. And by the way, I hope you win a Grammy soon. Combs family returns to the courthouse. Combs' mother and children have returned to the courthouse in 2 large vans as they wait to see whether he be released or remain in federal custody. Police are out on the street directing traffic around. A crowd of onlookers and journalists have gathered outside as people await the possibility of Combs walking out. We're almost caught up here. So Combs won't be released as he awaits sentencing. Sumerian ruled that Combs should remain in custody while he awaits sentencing. Combs was convicted on 2 counts of the Manning Act violations for transporting male escorts and former girlfriends Ventura and Jane for sex, but he was acquitted of a pair of sex trafficking counts and 1 of racketeering conspiracy. Now we go back to what Mr. Wigdor said. Right here, part of the Bail Reform Act is to say detention is mandatory after convictions on the Manning Act charges. Detention is mandatory after convictions on the Manning Act charges. So there it is there. So I wonder how the celebration stopped. Oh, my Lord Jesus. Oh, my Lord, my Lord, my Lord. Right here, Sumerian said the prosecution appropriately cited the section of the Bail Reform Act that requires Combs to remain in custody until his sentencing, which has some expectations. Combs' circumstances do not warrant those exceptions, he decided. According to the Bail Reform Act, defendants who have and provide letters on behalf of 2 witnesses that were worried about the danger Combs might pose upon release. Ventura's attorney supplied 1 of the 2 letters. Supporters disappointed but not angry. Combs supporters outside the courthouse were disappointed but not immediately angered by Sumerian's ruling that he will keep Combs in custody. Gasps and all what reactions could be heard from pro Combs crowd outside federal court. I'm like, now what? Now what? Y'all stood out here waiting to see that bastard. Now you can't see him. Now what, you dumb fucks? No. Like, it ain't over yet. He still is guilty of crimes. So y'all are celebrating a criminal. You dumb fucks. Combs has a propensity for violence behind closed doors, judge says. Combs has a propensity for violence that often takes place behind closed doors, Sumerian said, and outlined the reasons he denied bail. He said Combs has engaged in a years-long pattern of violence and continues to be unable to follow the law. He said Ventura's 2016 being caught on hotel security cameras was without question was an act of DV. Sumerian also noted that in June of 2024, there was violence against Jane, one of the victims in the case, at a time where Combs should have known to keep himself clean. Above board, Homeland Security investigations agents raided Combs' homes in March 2024, and he was still making plans for freak-offs leading up to his arrest. Okay. Sentencing is scheduled for this fall. The judge ordered all sides to return to court on October 3rd for sentencing, but know that the date could be moved up if Combs' team seeks to expedite. The defense is seeking a term of 21 to 27 months, while the defense The defense is seeking a term of 21 to 27 months, while the government hopes for 51 to 63 months. Combs will get credit for the time he has spent detained so far. Personally, these months would not be happening with me. No, 20 years consecutive, motherfucker. No. Judge facing a great divide on sentencing. Judge Samarian acknowledged the great divide between prosecutors and defense lawyers in their desire for Combs sentencing. Samarian scheduled a remote status conference for Tuesday to hash out some of the details of the sentencing. Same time is of the essence. Combs' team is seeking a term of 21 to 27 months, while prosecutors want him to be sentenced to prison for 51 to 63 months. Give him 63. And listen, he'll be doing 69 in jail right after he gets sentenced. So it is what it is. Actually, you know what? He's probably been doing 69 for months now, because he's been there for 9 months. You know, there are transsexuals in jail. Moving on. Combs looked deflated after his release was denied. Your lies ain't working now. Look who's talking now. And I had to shut you down. You play the fool before, play the fool before. Combs has been sentencing. Combs has been sitting with his head down and his hands in his lap, appearing deflated after his hopes of going home today was squashed. Well, see, if your defense team is smart, which they're not smart, I mean guilty by association, a dumbass hiring dumbasses. According to the Bail Reform Act, defendants who have been convicted must prove that they do not pose flight risk or danger to the community to be released in the interim. And on top of that, let's go back. See, I love when we can utilize information as a tool. Wigdor referred to part of the Bail Reform Act to say detention is mandatory after convictions on the Manning Act charges. If your defense team was smart, they would have known that. And I bet you your supporters didn't know that shit either. Like your dumb friend Charlie. We respect Charlie Wilson. We don't respect that piece of shit of Charlie. On the man act, violators tend to be pimps making money off sex workers, but that's not the situation with Combs, his attorney said. And Vanilla assisted his clients nothing like the typical person convicted under the Manning Act because Combs' bad acts don't involve him controlling prostitutes. This is not the case here, and Vanilla said. Combs is no pimp, but this is not a danger to the community, defense says. You know, Mark, I'm just going to do this again, right? Because I've played this clip many times. Sir, once again, you said this in a publicly available documentary. And so this is the same dumb fuck that said this was a modern love story. So he believes modern love stories also are with domestic violence and be raped. God forbid it happens to his daughters. Just saying. Moving on. I can't do it. Oh man, at prosecution, why didn't you bring this into evidence?
Where'd you get those shoes? The ones that are in it to win it. That always make the grade. And take the words out of office seriously. A shoe for every you. A DSW.
This is the type of indictment you would expect from someone in the mafia.
I don't know that I could keep him off the stand. He is very eager to tell his story.
They're going to show that video over and over and over about what happens to women that won't change their stories.
His reputation is over.
The United States government, they start making this case as a takedown of a successful black man.
TMZ presents The Downfall of Diddy, The Indictment, now streaming on Tubi.
They call them freak-offs. But, you know, back when I was a kid in the late 70s, they were called threesomes.
If these are genuinely threesomes, how do you explain 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
I don't know where the number 1,000 came.
The U.S. Attorney said it.
I can't imagine it's thousands. I mean, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. Can't imagine it's thousands. I mean, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. Can't imagine it's thousands. I mean, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for.
But he said that Combs is no pimp, and this is not a danger to the community. Sir, he is not a danger to the community. So you can't tell the truth, you can't speak, and you dumb as fuck. Great. Yes, wonderful. Domestic violence is violence, judge says as he shut down Combs' defense. The defense own language is coming back to haunt Combs' team, as Marion notes. Combs' attorneys conceded to the jury that there was violence in this case. His attorney said in their opening and closing arguments that Diddy was guilty of DV, but that his offenses do not meet the bar of racketeering and sex trafficking. Marion reminded attorney Markenfellow of this as he pushed back that Combs' defense has not actually provided proof that Combs is not dangerous to the public. DV is violence, Marion told Anfanella. Very well said. And as the prosecution team, I'll be like, you know what? If DV is not violence, how about somebody go whoop ass on Markenfellow's daughter right now? Somebody go do that shit. Braylon, will you shut your ass up? Damn. We had to save your ass so many times because you want to get even with people. Well, if people won't be so fucking stupid, I wouldn't have to say the quiet part out loud. Damn. By the way, I'm not wishing this on Markenfellow's daughter. I'm not. Anyone that I've said using an example of showcasing the magnitude of how fucked up this is, I don't wish that on any of them. Okay? Been very consistent with that. Okay? All right, let's roll on. And I really don't want to hear shit from none of y'all that are one-trick ponies that can only cover one damn thing. I don't want to hear shit from y'all. Not here, not there, not anywhere. From y'all pieces of shit. Okay? All right. Thank you so damn much for your consideration, appreciation, and attention to this urgent matter. Self-respecting businessman Combs deserves a break, his lawyer says. A break, you say? A break from what? He is a criminal that is guilty of crimes. Okay. All right. Combs' attorney called the embattled music mogul a self-respecting businessman who has earned the court's trust. And Vanilla said his client has met all the court's orders, should be allowed to post bail while weighing sentencing. He has shown a drive to meet the case head-on honorably, like a self-respected businessman like he is. You know, I kind of wonder something. Would a white man get this much love, grace, and space, or not? I don't think he would. Actually, no. He would. He would, because there's a convicted felon that a U.S. district judge said that I'll just pull it up. Right here, judge said that E. Jean Carroll allegation 47 raped her is substantially true in court dismissal. So, a convicted felon that the allegation of the president raping E. Jean Carroll is substantially true. But he has a drive to meet the case head on honorably, like a self-respecting businessman like he is. Oh, my Lord. Okay. My lord. The only thing exceptional about Combs is his wealth and his brazenness, prosecutor says. Comey is pushing back at the defense's arguments to have Combs released, telling the court the only things exceptional about Combs' circumstances are his wealth and his brazenness. She told the judge that Combs has a dangerous temper, that he has shown no remorse or regret. The prosecutor says his brazenness was unmatched as he continued to violate the law despite being under investigation. There was no reason to reconsider denying Combs bail, Comey told the judge. Judge affirms ruling no bail for Combs after having heard additional arguments from lawyers. Miriam ruled once more that Combs will not be allowed bail. The application for bail is denied for the reasons I said, he ruled. Court is adjourned. Parties to meet next week. Court is clearing out with a sentencing date of October 3rd, though that might change as an expedited sentencing proceeding is being considered. Miriam asked both parties to meet with him for a remote conference Tuesday to discuss a proposal moving up the sentencing date. We got 4 new updates, y'all. Let's see here. A freak off isn't criminal, according to a t-shirt. Combs being a racketeering conspiracy charge when jurors found out that he wasn't the head of a criminal conspiracy to organize his infamous freak off sessions. T-shirt hawking entrepreneur made the most of it outside the court, saying Combs' sexual desires don't make him a violator of the Racketeering Influence Act, Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO. A freak off is not a RICO. Well, hopefully your sister doesn't get raped, good sir. Or your wife or your daughter, your mom, your grandma, your auntie, your nieces, your cousins. Oh, my Lord. Combs passed notes to his attorney as they argued for his release. Combs passed notes to Anfanello. Anfanello spoke to the judge, arguing for Combs' release. After Anfanello finished, Combs raised his hand, started to get up, seemingly to speak. Anfanello told the judge that he would find out what Combs had to say. Combs' attorney rushed to speak with him. Ultimately, he ended up saying nothing. Right here, Combs' mother, sons, and daughters exited the courthouse silent. They walked by reporters stationed outside the doors. Women held hands until they walked by on the side of Combs' sons. All over shower at the family as they made their way to the van. Here we go here.
Flagging that the Combs family is supporting the fourth amendment. It's not to 17 the Combs family and children the parties they're all going to figure out each other.
All right, there. And then proud dad Mark Garagos blasted the prosecution's ridiculous use of taxpayer resources and labeled the case a colossal failure. The famed Southern California lawyer is father of Combs' defense attorney, Terry Garagos. He beamed with pride. As a helicopter parent, I couldn't be prouder, he told reporters outside the court. Yeah, your daughter asked about what type of bag a woman got and fucked over the fact that she went through sexual abuse or domestic violence. Hopefully, Terry Garagos doesn't get raped or gets DV'd. But I'm guessing Mark Garagos doesn't give a fuck about women either. Child. Defense attorney, this is a great victory for Combs. Anfanello will celebrate his side's partial victory. It's a great day for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system. He said, you saw the Southern District of New York prosecutors came and thanked him, came at him with all that they had. He thanked jurors, rather. One thing stands between all of us in a prison, that is the jury of 12 citizens. Anfanello said, dumbass citizens that hopefully I don't advocate for violence, but I do advocate for justice. Garagos thanks Combs and the jury in post-trial comments. Terry Garagos, the woman who asked about what type of bag a woman had, fucked over the fact that she'd been DV'd and essayed. Hopefully, Terry Garagos doesn't have to go through that, nor her daughter, or her auntie, nieces, cousins, grandmas, her mom. Terry Garagos thanked Combs for assembling a dream team. I would say a nightmare, waste of life, and dumbass team, but I guess, of attorneys as well as the jury for the hard work they put in every day of the trial. That was work. Y'all didn't present shit. No witnesses, but okay. As I said in my opening, standing between all of us and the drastic consequences of the criminal convictions of sex trafficking and RICO's a jury of our peers, she said. She added that Combs has not sexually assaulted anyone and that the media has gotten wrong about Combs for nearly 2 years. Combs is facing multiple civil lawsuits brought by plaintiffs who did not testify during this trial. The threshold for civil cases is a preponderance of evidence, which is lower than beyond reasonable doubt standard required in criminal cases. So, new updates. You're all caught up to what is happening, the aftermath. And listen, y'all, I know what you're thinking. Well, damn, Bray, you really are saying this about women? No. Not all women. I'm talking about the women in all of this. And I'm talking to all the men that are still defending Diddy. Okay? All right. Hold on. Let's roll on. More dynamic video here. Here we go.
No, we just saw that sketch of Sean Combs kneeling in prayer, and over the last 24 hours, that is what we have seen since the jury began its deliberations. The family has held several group prayers inside of the courtroom, and this morning, as the jury began to deliberate again, because they were still hung on that first count, he led them in a prayer asking God to bless them. The jury began to deliberate again because they were still hung on that first count. He led them in a prayer asking God to bless their hearts. He was praying for a not guilty verdict and for God to watch over his family. He then sat down at his seat and read Psalms 11. It was a printout of Psalms 11 as the court proceeding began. He never looked up. You could see he was meditating, really focused on what was going to come his way. They didn't know what this mixed verdict was this morning, and so his attorneys were very anxious this morning as they came into the courtroom, somber faces, not knowing what to expect and how long it might take to deliberate on count one where they were hung yesterday. So then when Judge Arun Subramanian came, he read the note. He said the note was returned at 9:52 a.m. saying that they had reached a verdict on all 5 counts. And then he brought the jury into the room to read their verdict one by one, count by count. The first verdict, racketeering conspiracy, not guilty. You saw him do a fist pump. And he was still looking down. He never looked up. He was still kind of meditating, anticipating all of the verdicts for each count. And so then they listed sex trafficking, Cassie Ventura. He nodded his head. Interstate prostitution for Cassie Ventura. Guilty. He was shocked. He was visibly affected when that one came. You could tell he was not ready for that to come, like a kinetic, like a real serious shock, because I think, once you start hearing the repetitive not guilty verdicts, there have been an assumption that there was going to continue to be a not guilty verdict. So then after that, as they began to read the verdicts, he grabbed Timmy Garagos' hand. They were fist pumping. His attorneys were complete 180. They couldn't even sit down waiting for the verdict to be read. They were nervous and they were kind of spread out. It was almost like a security detail. One was positioned here, one was positioned here, one was positioned back there, and they were pacing back and forth, waiting for that verdict to be read. They were all seated when the verdict was read. They were all smiling. When Judge Arun Subramanian then pulled the juror to ask juror number 1, juror number 2, juror number 3, is this your verdict? Each one of them said yes, yes, yes. That is when we saw a moment when Sean Combs reached over to one of his lead attorneys, Timmy Garagos. He grabbed her, he kissed her on the cheek, beaming and smiling. During this time, he leaned back, he kept turning towards his family. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. It's going to be okay. And also, as they were polling the jury, you could see Sean Combs looking at them, trying to make eye contact with them with his hands. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. That's kind of like a humility that he's shown throughout the trial, communications that he was actually admonished for during the trial for trying to make eye contact with the jury and connect with them. I don't believe any juror looked back at him. You could see a few of them kind of smiling, looking downwards, but I was focused on Sean Combs. He was about 10 feet to my left the entire trial, where he was seated at his defense table and the press row. And so he just kept thanking the jury. As the jury exited, he again was just thanking the jury, thanking the jury. And that is when we saw that dramatic moment. When the jury exited the courtroom, he dropped down to his knees. No one saw it coming. He looked over, he was on his knees, very prayerful, being very thankful for the verdict that was rendered being acquitted of all of those charges. His family, as they have been known to do, when they get into this moment of prayer, they all bow their head. They were standing, they bowed their head. And then when he stood up, then there was loud cheers in the courtroom, loud cheers, a couple of outbursts of cheers. You saw him hugging his attorney, hugging Timmy Garagos, Mark Agnifilo, his face beat red, group hugs. You know, he has 9 attorneys, so they were group hugging. You could hear them saying, dream team, dream team. I was in the elevator with Mark Agnifilo. I asked him, you know, he said, he's never felt like this in 34 years. I said, well, what does that feel like? He said, I am relieved that I'm not miserable. When the not guilty verdict, when he was acquitted of all those top charges, Judge Arun Subramanian said, government, is there anything from the government? The government said no. Then he asked Mark Agnifilo, is there something from the defense? He goes, absolutely. I believe this defendant, having been acquitted of the most serious charges, he should be returned to his family. He should be able to return to his home at 2 Star Island. He said that he treasures this opportunity and he would never run afoul of any opportunities should he be released on bail. Maureen Comey, the lead prosecutor for this case, stood up. She vigorously fought against the bail the same way she vigorously argued this entire case, saying, listen, these underlying circumstances still exist. You heard the testimony. You heard what these victims testified to in terms of the violence and the threats, and these are still mitigating factors and they still exist. At that point, Tini Garagos, you could see her going off. She was pointing her finger at Mark Agnifilo, just kind of like, you could just frustrated that there was still no, the government was still relentless in their prosecution of Sean Combs.
You know what? I would ask Terry Garagos, why are you so pissed off, Heifer? And heifer means a cow before y'all get upset. Why are you so big mad? You got what you wanted, right? So they can't fight for him to stay in jail? Because guess what? He was in jail waiting for the trial. So, and y'all weren't smart enough to read the Mann Act and that he has to be detained and go on detention after he was convicted of those crimes. But Mark Garagos is so proud of his fucking daughter that doesn't care about women. Just like the dad, Mark Garagos doesn't care about women. But she was big mad. Let's roll on, child. I cannot.
Then the judge asked specific questions. What does this look like? If he is released on bail, Mark Agnifilo, what does that look like? Does he walk out of the front door today? He said, absolutely yes. I don't have a bail package prepared, a formal bail package, which is required in this situation. But off the cuff, we propose $1 million. We have 3 responsible family members who are here who can sign for the bail. We already have his passport. We rented out his plane. His plane is in Maui right now, so has no access to his personal plane. So he will never, he would not jeopardize any opportunity if there would be, should he be released on bail. And then Judge Subramanian asked Combs, I'm sure you don't want to go back to MDC. He comically shook his head, no, and he's been known to kind of react like that in trial. Laughter burst out in the courtroom. Obviously, there was levity, having been acquitted of the most serious counts. So he shook his head, no. Like, I definitely don't want to go back there. And so only within an hour, these parties, both parties, have to submit an official letter. Mark Agnifilo, what does that bail package look like? And do you have a person to execute this bail package? You have to meet with pretrial services before you can completely execute a bail package. And then the prosecution has to present case law. Under these circumstances, have we had a circumstance where you have a defendant who has still been convicted of 2 counts of interstate prostitution? Should they still be released on bond? So Comey again said this is off the cuff. We weren't expecting it, but we need to dig into the case law and we need to come back with a letter saying why we oppose it. And this is no different than any of the fierce infighting we have seen throughout this trial. Neither side has been given an inch when it comes to the one single line. of the wording that goes back to the jury responses, what text messages are in, what videos go in. They are fighting tooth and nail this entire trial. The jury has been paying attention this entire trial. They've been talking to each other even when they were told not to talk to each other about the trial. We saw them reacting to the testimony. So this is a culmination of 2 months, 8 weeks of long days of testimony, sometimes laborious testimony with federal agents just reading out text messages, going through the inventory of what was found at the searches of each of his homes, the LA home, the Miami home, and his mother has been in trial every day, in the courtroom every day. His sons come mostly every day. We did see his 3 daughters at the beginning of the trial, but when it began to get heavy with the testimony.
Darla has been describing the emotion in the courtroom just a short time ago. That is Sean Combs' mother. They are really, really close. Her waving to the crowd, obviously relieved that the verdict essentially went her son's way this morning. He was not convicted of the most serious charges. And to that end, we've had an opportunity to speak with other family members, right, Mike?
To your point, Sandra, Sean Combs looking at his mom, among other family members, and said, "I love you, Mama," right after the verdict was read. In fact, some of the family members are in Lower Manhattan, waiting to see what happens, whether or not Mr. Combs is released.
We are not a traditional cafe. We're completely unconventional. And my Wix website really has to capture the same magic.
First of all, shout out to this sister right here. Because she held that live shot and there was no talk. That was all from memory. So well done to that sister right there. Well done. More dynamic video coming in here. Let's make it do what it do from Eyewitness News, ABC 7 in New York City. Here we go.
And we are back with breaking news. A judge has just denied bail for Sean Diddy Combs. We are now joined by Shauna again. Shauna, your reaction. Are you surprised?
I'm a little surprised, but I think that this judge looked at the letters that were submitted. He looked at the government's arguments, and essentially he's in the home stretch, right? He's already served what would be technically a portion of his sentence, and the judge probably wants no mishaps, and he does not want it to happen on this during his tenure.
And some more context to that. Judge Subramanian said, quote, "The jury convicted the defendant of counts 3 and 5, and for the following reasons, bail is denied." And we sort of have lost that sight a little bit as we're talking about this case in full today, because while Sean Combs was acquitted of the most serious charges, he still was convicted of 2.
Absolutely.
So what happens now? What's the process moving forward?
So now he will remain incarcerated as he has been. We will have this sentencing hearing that will come forth, like I said, in approximately 30 to 60 days. They're going to get recommendations from the Department of Sentencing and Corrections. They will also get arguments from both the prosecution, which is going to include all aggravating factors. They're also going to get all mitigating factors from the defense. He will hear arguments and then he will set the sentence.
Wow. And the judge, and just to follow this up, the judge agrees with federal prosecutors and their argument that detention is, quote, mandatory for the Mann Act conviction. Now, help us understand, because counts 3 and 5, we're dealing with the Mann Act, which deals with prostitution.
Correct.
Right. What is the Mann Act, and what does that mean in sort of layperson's terms?
So it's essentially taking someone from place to place. It was named after the Sentinel case. It was basically taking.
And it was created in the 1900s.
Correct.
1910, I believe.
Correct. Yeah. And it was really to ensure that, and this is what the argument was of the defense, right? It was traditionally so that way we did not have people being moved for prostitution. And it was somewhat racially based, some would argue. So that is why that argument came up in the beginning when they said that he was even being charged with this. There was that argument that there are Caucasian men that do this all the time because he is an African-American man, that he is being prosecuted under this act that is hardly ever used. However, the judge found that it is persuasive because what they want to make sure is that this person doesn't continue to do this while out.
Right.
He still has to be sentenced. And so it's not as though he got acquitted of everything today and can just go home. And so the judge found that persuasive.
Certainly an argument that Cassie Ventura's attorney echoed as well. Shauna Lloyd, stand by. We want to go to Kimberly Richardson now because she's just outside the courthouse with this reaction. And you have these people there waiting. They thought there was a chance that they could see Sean Combs walk out of that courthouse tonight. We know that's not going to happen.
That is not going to happen, Mike, and you're right. People started gathering here earlier today when the verdict was announced. In fact, the NYPD for a time this afternoon shut down Worth here in front of the federal courthouse to traffic because the crowd was growing. NYPD officers are out here right now. But yes, they were waiting, hoping to see Sean Combs walk out of the front door, hear his family also. But in those letters to the judges, both sides, the attorneys, the defense wrote in part, they said he needs and wants to be with and remain with his family. The government, in its letter to the judge, insisted keeping Combs behind bars, saying it sends a dangerous message that wealth and influence can shield someone indefinitely from accountability. Another person we have heard from today through her attorney, Cassie Ventura, she weighed in after the verdict, and she said she believes that Combs is likely to pose a danger to the victims who testified in this case, including herself and the community. So the judge listening in the end to the prosecutor, keeping Sean Combs behind bail. Remember when behind bars, remember when the verdict was read, Combs dropped to his knees. At one point, the judge said, we may or may not send you back to MDC. He was shaking his head. No, I do not want to go back there. It looks like right now, at this point, he is heading back to that federal prison. The next step, sentencing, we will learn a date when that will happen. I don't think that has come down yet, but that's the next step in that. So between now and then, Sean Combs will go right back where he was this morning. He will not be going to his mansion in Miami.
Knock, knock. Hi there. I'd love to show you what a K-12 powered school is really.
There you go there. Now here are some New Yorkers reacting to the split verdict from Eyewitness News ABC 7 in New York.
And we know what played out outside as well. Some people cheered when news of the verdict came down.
Yeah, and throughout the morning and afternoon, more and more people began gathering outside of the courthouse. Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Carlo has been there all day and has that part of our coverage. Anthony?
Well, I want to tell you guys that it is really striking that we have seen the amount of people actually start to pick up just a little while ago. They know what time this bail hearing is. In fact, if you take a look over my shoulder, you can see the folks here who are jam-packed in between these barricades, studying every move of the Combs family when they walk into and out of the courthouse. We hear cheers. Sometimes we hear jeers.
Why does this look like Wiz Khalifa's ex-wife, Tammy Rivera? Why does she look like her? And what is this kid doing? He's a baby. What the heck?
The point of the matter is they are waiting for that moment, that potential that Diddy himself walks out those doors. From the people packed behind barricades to the waving around of bottles of baby oil, the spectacle was certainly on brand for someone as big as Diddy.
Diddy was somebody that we definitely looked up to and admired for his business acumen and all that kind of stuff,
The media frenzy has followed Sean Combs and his family into this chapter of fame. Cheers and jeers as his children and his mother made their way into and out of the courthouse. What does verdict day mean for Diddy's legacy?
Legacy is ruined. They and 10 years from now, any of my grandkids look back at Bad Boy, all they're going to hear about is these things here.
I would have probably voted not guilty on everything, only because I feel that the government overcharged and overreached.
So basically, he believes that women should be raped and doesn't give a fuck about women.
Government overcharged and overreached.
It doesn't change my view on Diddy because I know that Diddy he's not a good man. He's not a good man.
The reaction just as mixed as the verdict itself. Make no mistake, this is not a happy day, even for fans.
Yeah, I definitely was a fan. What he's done in the music industry. I mean, there's so many positive things that he's brought, right?
Monica says this case and this trial and this publicity has revealed the dark side of an icon.
I'm seeing kind of the response of like baby oil everywhere and like people kind of making light of the situation. It actually scares me to think that people can think that they can. It actually scares me to think that people care and like people kind of.
Janet was not a part of this. See, this is what I mean. If you gonna be supporting D, put D, Cheryl. Don't bring Janet Jackson into this shit.
Making light of the situation. It actually scares me to think that people can think that they can get away with more pain for women, children, just
At least she has a conscience. I'll give her that.
things that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, so the significance here, of course, multifaceted. Another live look here at the crowds of people who remain outside of federal court in Lower Manhattan. You know, I said it before, I'll say it again. Diddy is a figure who's touched so many industries, so many aspects of the entertainment industry, and so many lives, whether for positive or negative. And so many of these people are here. They've watched his rise, the empire he built, and the chapter of his life that he embarks on now. We'll keep you updated outside the courthouse, but for now, we're live in Lower Manhattan. Anthony Carlo, Channel 7 Eyewitness News. I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that, Anthony. Thank you, because we know Mayor Adams once gave Sean Diddy Combs the key to New York City. Dubbed the son of Harlem, Combs actually grew up in Westchester, starting as an intern at Uptown Records before eventually founding Bad Boy Records. In the 1990s, he was one of the biggest New York faces of the infamous East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry. His trial turned into one of the most closely watched cases in the history of entertainment. So how are New Yorkers taking all of this in? Crystal Cranmore speaking to more people in this town, specifically now in Harlem, to continue our coverage tonight. Crystal?
Good afternoon, Mike. Yeah, plenty of mixed reactions. I mean, you talk to people and many of them say that his reputation has taken a major hit, but given that he was acquitted on the most serious charges, some people we spoke with believe he will rebound from this.
It's always been free Diddy, you know, party and bull and party.
News rippled across.
Once again, this man does not care about women, believes women should be great.
Diddy, you know, party and bull and party.
News rippled across the streets of Harlem.
He won't sex traffic. He was just freaking up every now and then. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
To Times Square as tourists.
Up every now and then.
So if somebody did that to your sister, you would be cool with it, bro? Okay.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
To Times Square as tourists in the crossroads of the world learn global icon Sean Diddy Combs was found not guilty of the most serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering.
Let's not be surprised here. He's a celebrity, and you know, maybe the jury was swayed that way.
I'm glad that he was found not guilty of the RICO charge.
So this man, not this man here, this man also believes that women should be raped and doesn't give a fuck about women. Got
RICO
it?
charge. I don't think they had enough evidence to say that he actually did it.
But a jury did find him guilty of 2 prostitution-related charges as it relates to his ex-girlfriends, Cassie Ventura, and a woman identified in court as Jane.
I think they were right in saying he was guilty on that part.
For some, the partial acquittal is a disappointment.
It feels like on every front, whether it's government, judicial, there is no justice for us.
Joy Barnett has been glued to the trial from the beginning.
To get all of the details, it felt, even worse.
She says the trial highlighted the impact of power and celebrity.
Do I think that Diddy would have received the seriousness of charges and maybe the media coverage that he has if he weren't who he is, who is at its core a black rapper, a black producer? Probably not, but that doesn't make him not responsible.
For some, Diddy's legacy is tarnished.
People always gonna know Diddy for baby oil.
He had a lot of hits, but I can't vouch for him anymore.
But fans hope he bounces back.
But I do hope that he learns from this experience and turns his life around.
Said no one ever.
Now, Diddy actually got the keys to the New York City in 2023, and just 1 year later, Mayor Adams asking for it back after that hotel incident between Diddy and his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, surfaced online. Now, his legal troubles, though, certainly highlighting the role of his cultural icon and the impact of his actions. For now, we are live in Harlem. Crystal Cranmore, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Are you looking to establish your...
So much good people. And here is Whit Johnson giving the special report of judge denies Sean Combs bail ahead of sentencing. Here we go.
I'm Whit Johnson in New York. We're coming on the air right now because the federal judge in the Sean Diddy Combs trial has just denied bail for Combs hours after a split verdict in the racketeering and sex trafficking case against him on the 3rd day of deliberations. The jury finding Combs not guilty on 3 of 5 counts, acquitting him of the most serious charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Combs guilty on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Each count carries a maximum of up to 10 years behind bars. The verdict considered a huge win for Combs, who is facing the possibility of life in prison. He's been behind bars since his arrest in September. Let's get right to ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky. And Aaron, we know that the defense was hoping that Combs would be able to leave the courtroom and go back to his family today. And earlier, he even said to his family there that I'm coming home. But it turns out that that is not the case. What are you learning from what happened in this hearing late today?
Sean Combs entered court just a moment ago looking upbeat. He greeted his family, who crammed into the gallery, all in one bench, his mother, sons, twin daughters. And I think he was anticipating that he would be released following the mixed verdict, especially the acquittal on all of the violent crimes. But the judge immediately sat down at the bench, started reading his decision, saying bail is denied. He would not be released prior to sentencing because the judge said his incarceration is required based on what he was convicted of: transportation for the purposes of prostitution. The judge said the defense did not make any successful arguments to say that that expectation should be overridden.
All right, Aaron Katursky, thank you. Stand by for us a moment. You're taking a look at some of these live images from our WABC New York chopper camera here. You can see the crowd gathering outside the courthouse. A lot of people were hoping, people who were waiting there outside the courtroom, to be able to get a glimpse of Sean Diddy Combs as he was released. But again, that news coming down that he will not be released on bail for now. Let's bring in ABC News legal contributor Bernarda Villalona. And Bernarda, we know that this case was not technically about domestic violence. At least those were not the charges against Combs. But of course, there was that now infamous video from the hotel surveillance that showed him physically assaulting Cassie Ventura. Is it possible that any of that evidence came down to what the judge was considering in terms of his release back to the public on bail?
100%, absolutely. You have to think that this judge is in a unique position that he heard all of the testimony, all of the evidence that was provided through this 7-week trial. He also knows of evidence that wasn't submitted before this jury. So he took into account what he actually heard. He took into account that it's no longer that Sean Combs is accused of transportation to engage in prostitution, but now that he has been convicted by a jury of his peers. He took into account that his ability to flee and not return for sentencing, as well as that he's a danger to the community and also to victims. Remember that Cassie Ventura's attorney, Doug Wigdor, submitted a letter to this court requesting that Sean Combs remains in custody because he is a danger to society. So taking all of that into account, in addition to what his potential sentence would be, does give us a cue into what he will actually sentence him to. While it's a mandatory of 10 years on each of these counts, there is a sentencing crime guidelines, and the prosecution is claiming that it's about 51 months to 63 months, while the defense is saying 21 months to 27 months, and Sean Combs has only been in custody for 10 months.
Bernarda, thank you. We are just getting this information from the U.S. District Judge here, citing Combs' domestic violence as part of that
I just want to say Bernarda is a fine woman, okay? Just masterpiece.
Justification for his continued detention. He called it a propensity for violence. This is also a quote here of the judge saying it is impossible for the defendant to demonstrate that he poses no danger to the community. Again, that as part of this decision not to grant him bail, to deny bail to Sean Diddy Combs. I want to go to our ABC News legal contributor, Brian Buckmeyer. Brian, you've been watching this case very closely. You've been inside the courtroom at times. So now that bail has been denied, Brian, what are the next steps?
So the next steps will be sentencing. And between today and whatever the sentencing date is, and we're waiting to hear what that is, Sean Combs will be visited by someone from the probation department. And they'll interview him, speak with Sean Combs, family members, anyone else that they may be directed to, and they'll create what's called a PSI, or pre-sentencing investigation. That information will be given to both the attorneys as well as the judge, and will help guide them in terms of a sentencing. Now, Bernarda had pointed out the sentencing guidelines that both parties have put forward. The defense saying that the sentence should be anywhere from 21 to 27 months, the government saying anywhere from 51 to 63 months, but that PSI will provide what they believe the sentencing guidelines will be, and then either side will try to argue, come sentencing, that there are either aggravating circumstances, the government will oppose those to go higher, or mitigating circumstances to go lower, and that's where we'll find a sentence. And of course, the potential of what's called victim impact statements, people who will testify or give testimony about the sentencing of Sean Combs.
Brian Buckmeyer, thank you. I want to go back to Aaron Katursky. Aaron, we know that sentencing hearing scheduled for the fall. Sean Diddy Combs has already been in custody for about 9 months now, and he's also facing dozens of civil lawsuits. What more does he have ahead of him before that hearing? We know, I think it's on October 3rd.
October 3rd at 10 a.m. is when Sean Combs is going to be sentenced for his conviction on 2 counts of transportation for the purposes of prostitution. Each of those counts carries a maximum penalty of up to 10 years. And so prosecutors pointed out in their letter to the judge, his total exposure is 20 years in prison. And the judge today, Whit, said that Combs's propensity for violence was starkly depicted on that 2016 hotel security camera footage that may well factor into the judge's sentencing decisions. In the meantime, Sean Combs will continue to be incarcerated at MDC in Brooklyn, the federal jail in Brooklyn, where he's been since his arrest. This is at least the 3rd, possibly even the 4th time that bail has been denied, and he will have to fight those civil lawsuits, at least at the outset, from behind bars. With
Aaron Katursky, thank you, and the entire team. Again, the judge denying Sean Combs bail following that split verdict earlier today when the jury acquitted him of the most serious charges of racketeering and conspiracy and sex trafficking. But the jury did find him guilty on those 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. We're going to return you in just a moment here to regular programming. Our coverage does continue on ABC News Live and abcnews.com. Also, a programming note, an ABC News special report, Verdict, the Diddy trial, airs tonight at 10 Eastern right here. And then I'll be back with our entire team for a full wrap-up on World News Tonight.
Hello, everybody.
With so much there from TMZ, everybody. Sean Diddy Combs, will spend 4th of July in jail. Judge denies bail. Independence Day did not come early for Sean Diddy Combs. He was hoping for a taste of freedom after spending the past 9 months doing 69 allegedly in a Brooklyn jail. But he was just denied bail, remain custody pending sentencing in his criminal case. So this is live court coverage here. I'm sure it is 5 hours where we ain't got time. But you see right there that they did live courtroom coverage from the TMZ newsroom. As you know, a jury found Diddy not guilty on 3 of the most serious charges, 2 counts of sex trafficking, 1 racketeering. They found him guilty on 2 counts of the man at transportation prostitution across state lines. Defense immediately asked the judge to have Diddy released on $1 million bail, and while awaiting sentencing and appeal, prosecutors argued Diddy qualified as a no bail convict because of the potential violence and flight risk. Ultimately, Judge Arnstein ruled in the prosecutor's favor. So I just got a feeling, right, that, okay, you know what? You're not going to jail for life, but you still need to be convicted for a crime. And so I feel like if he would do that for the prosecution, I feel like he might do 20 years. That's just my take. The judge said he denied bail because Diddy was not able to show that he wasn't a danger to the community. The judge said Diddy's defense conceded during the trial Diddy was and is a domestic abuser, says his violence was depicted in the Cassie Bean video. What's more, the judge said Diddy got violent with Jane in June 2024 after the feds raided his homes in March of 2024, which he said showed a disregard for the law and propensity for violence. And he still planned freak-offs. Diddy's still planned freak-offs leading to his arrest. It seems the jury made this decision quickly because an hour into deliberations Monday, jurors asked the judge to admonish juror 25 to follow, not able to follow instructions. Rather, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out 11 of them seem seem to be leaning towards a not guilty verdict on the serious charges. And then there is Miami Beach, Star Island. Diddy was planning to go back to his home, Star Island in Miami Beach, Florida, but he will have to wait. The judge said sentencing is tentatively scheduled for October 3rd at 10 a.m. But he wasn't indicted, but he indicated rather he was willing to move that day up, and he set a court hearing for Tuesday on the matter of expedited sentencing. I would say don't expedite, let him sit there. Let him sit there. Diddy's defense prosecutors are divided on sentencing. Judge Noah Diddy's attorney saying sentencing guidelines start at 21 months, with prosecutors saying sentencing guidelines start at 51 months. Hey, listen, Iran, I'm not saying that, you know, there's some places that don't need to be here, but Iran, this island right here, it's available, okay? All right, moving on. Just saying. All right, so finally we get to this, y'all. Yeah, Diddy fans break out baby oil outside court, glistening nip slips. Y'all cannot make this up. We will see this clip here in just a minute. Actually, we'll see it right now as it goes.
You come for me, don't miss.
Look at that. And if you're wondering who that is, ladies and gentlemen, that is Armand Wiggins, ladies and gentlemen. That is Armand Wiggins, right? And this is the thing that I don't get, right? It's like, y'all do realize, like, he could be sentenced to 20 years. So this is not really a simple. Like, this woman is gleaming. She drinking water, but child, she might have had some little drink earlier. She looked like the thick auntie that, you know, she's in everybody else's business but has no business of her own. But like, this is just this is tough.
Yes!
First of all, I think the Smurfs should sue this woman right here. This woman right here. Look at this shit. Get off her. You know what? I want all these same people out here on October 3rd at 10 a.m. And if he gets sentenced to 20 years, I want y'all to keep having that same fucking energy. This don't make no damn. Stupid. Just stupid. Yeah, I know. We got one staple of a freak off outside the courthouse where Diddy just skated on the most serious criminal charges against him. His fans are lathering themselves up with baby oil. It's all on video. Child, it's pure madness on the streets of Manhattan right now. A bunch of folks have gathered to celebrate the Diddy trial verdict. They busted out the baby oil. Can you imagine if this was somebody's mama? You know, like I said before, it's not bad, man. It's not bad women. It's bad people. If this is an option for a wife, thank God I'm single. One woman's nipples even made an appearance with her oiled up breast spilling out of her top. Okay. Diddy's use of baby oil and freak offs was a huge part of his 2-month trial. The feds made a big deal about seizing 1,000 bottles of 1,000 balls in raids on his homes, and his lawyer Mark Anfinel mocked prosecutors for endlessly talking about baby oil when it came time for his closing argument. Cassie talked about baby oil too during her testimony. She recalled her first freak out with Diddy and testified Diddy said she needed to use baby oil so she would be glistening. She also testified there was once a kiddie pool filled with baby oil during her freak off at a hotel, and she got into the pool at Diddy's request. The Fed said that they found baby oil in Diddy's homes at the hotel where he was staying before his September 2024 arrest. They showed off evidence photos to jurors. Prosecutors said they can find some more baby oil right now if they just step outside the courthouse and walk the streets. And Mark Anfinella, once again, good sir, this is what your dumbass said right here. Let's roll it again.
Thousands. I mean, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. Actually, it's thousands. I mean, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know. Can't imagine it's thousands. I mean, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for.
Before the Jeff brand
etiquette that is happening inside of a courtroom. No one said, I kid you not. People are pouring baby oil on one another outside this courthouse. Baby oil having a very big play in the freak-offs we heard about. You have people saying it's not Rico, it's Frico. You've got applause coming when the mother of Sean Diddy Combs, Miss Janice, got out of the vehicle just a few moments ago, really, behind us and walked inside to elated cheers and her greeting the crowd. Every time the family, the children, the 6 adult children come in, 3 boys and 3 girls, they are met by cheers, and also at times throughout the course of trial, met by scathing and disrespectful comments as well. A lot of profanity, but improper and etiquette.
I know Laura Coates wanted to go the fuck off, but she couldn't, because she couldn't be an angry black woman and just be honest, true, and human. And here are the posts about the baby oil. We are the cause of our own rise and demise, I swear to God. And here it is here. Mom Wiggins right there. Grab your shoulder and cry. I mean, if you don't play the sound, I mean, it really says a lot. It really says a lot. But let any one of these people who celebrated that this birth happened, let them go through any of this shit, then they're going to want the culture. And sweetie, you look like a damn monkey. Because this white man is like, I cannot believe this shit. And there ain't no way in hell she can have a job. Ain't no way in hell. And this man here, like really looked like a tap dancing Uncle Ruckus. Shout out to the Boondocks, child. Why are our aunties and uncles doing this on a Tuesday afternoon? 87 likes. I feel you, child. Yeah, that's some of our people. There's the bastard that said Everybody's doing it. Does that mean you're doing racketeering, sir? Does that mean you're raping women, sir? Child, please. Like I said, God forbid this happen to any of the women in y'all life, or let alone y'all. And by the way, keep the same fucking energy. If it happens to you, please keep it. Please keep it. Don't ask us, okay? Like everybody's resting their 92%. We ain't doing shit for y'all if y'all come forward. Child. That's the best one. God finna flood us again, ain't he? Yeah, I feel the guy's like, all right, you know what? Angels, Mother Nature, I need you to get ready. Because there needs to be a reset of this world here. Say Braylon, though. And all the people Braylon cares about. All right, y'all, with that being said, I know God DM is just like, dude, and he's like, do not disturb right now. That's where he is, and here's where we are. As Diddy waits for it, here's where his business venture stands from ABC News here. Here's a closer look. I can't really zoom in. Here's a closer look at how Combs' business portfolio and public image have crumbled under the weight of the allegations. Let me see if I can zoom in for y'all real quick here so y'all can see a little bit closer. There we go. Before Combs was arrested and charged, his major business ventures had collapsed. He stepped down and later fully divested from Revolt TV, which was founded in 2013. By the way, Revolt TV did not cover the trial, not one damn time. The network still offers a mix-up program focused on hip-hop culture, R&B music, social justice, and documentaries. He also reportedly lost a Hulu reality series and saw his once iconic fashion brand John Vance from Macy's shelves. After surveillance footage surfaced last year showing Combs physically assaulting singer Cassie, his then girlfriend, 2016, consequences mounted. New York City wrote his ceremonial key. Peloton pulled his music. Howard University rescinded his honorary degree and his charter school in Harlem cut ties. Last year, Combs settled a legal dispute with Diageo, relinquishing control of his lucrative spirit brand Ciroc and De Leon tequila. While many of his ventures have unraveled, his music catalog for now remains intact. Bad Boy Records may be synonymous with 1990s icons like Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, Mace, and 112. But Combs kept the label relevant before his arrest with high-profile releases. In 2023, Combs dropped the Love album, Off the Grid, which was his first solo studio album in nearly 2 decades. Monet's effort recognized in the prestigious Record of the Year category. Ahead of the Love album release, Combs made headlines returning Bad Boy publishing rights to several former artists and songwriters years after he was criticized for how he handled their contracts. Bad Boy Records remains operational, but the label has been significantly shaken by Combs' legal firestorm and hasn't announced any major releases. Last week, a surprise EP called Never Stop, released by Son, King Combs, and Kanye West, which also has lyrics from Northwest. So, Kim Kardashian, take Kanye West for every motherfucking thing he got. Kanye, your ass is next, motherfucker. We'll see your ass in court. I'll be here reporting on your fucking ass and shit been swallowed by your fucking mother, Donda. Showed support. Donda should swallow Kanye West. Showed support rather for the inbound mogul. The project was released for Goodfellas Entertainment. Bad Boy Records remained active through 2022. Back in Machine Hal Kelly's mainstream sellout under the Bad Boy umbrella. He was a producer on MTV's reality television series Making the Band and Making His Band, launching the R's the careers of artists like Broker Danny Kane and male R&B group Day 26. Combs has been sued by multiple people who have claimed to be victims of physical and sexual abuse. He has already paid $20 million to settle with one accuser, his former girlfriend Cass. Most of the lawsuits, though, are still pending. It isn't clear how many, if any, will be successful, how much it will cost Combs to defend himself in court. Combs and his lawyers have denied all the misconduct allegations and dismissed his accusers as out for a big payday. Federal prosecutors have also informed the court that if Combs is convicted, they would seek to have him forfeit any assets, including property used to commit or facilitate his crimes. They won't detail exactly what property that might involve until after trial is over. By the way, when it came to R. Kelly, right? R. Kelly had to, sell, his publishing rights and, give the money from his streams to pay the victims, right? So there is that. Despite the legal turmoil surrounding Combs' music catalog remains widely available on major streaming platforms including Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. None of the streamers have publicly addressed whether they plan to adjust how his music gets featured if Combs is convicted. Interestingly, Combs' music saw roughly 20% boost in the United States streaming between April and May 2025, his biggest monthly spike this year, according to Lumate. Numbers jumped coincide with key moments during the trial, including testimonies from Cass and Kid Cudi. However, there was a slight drop-off of a 5 to 10% decrease in June compared to the previous month's streams. Streaming makes up a fraction of the artist's revenue and is calculated through a complicated process called stream share. Most artists see very little pay for digital streaming services. Right here, Sean John found in 1998. The larger has gone largely dormant, with its presence disappearing from major retailers like Macy's. There are no clear signs of relaunch on the horizon. 2023, Combs launched Empower Global online marketplace designed to uplift Black-owned businesses and strengthen the Black dollar. He positioned the platform as modern-day Black Wall Street, backing it with a report $20 million of his own investment. Platform debuted 70 brands and planned to expand onboarding new Black businesses each month, aiming to feature more than 200 by year's end. However, as 2023 came to a close, several brands got ties with Empower Global. It was reported that some cited disappointing performance and growing concerns over misconduct allegations surrounding Combs. AP music writer Maria Sherman contributed to this report. Thank you, ABC News and Maria Sherman. And finally, y'all listen to this. Diddy might not get his baby oil back if found not guilty. Attorney explains why. A stockpile of baby oil, sex toys, and Astroglide, details prosecutors say weren't just kinky coincidences, but evidence of meticulously organized network of sex trafficking and abuse. So, right here. So what happens to these seized items if Combs walks free? Brian Stewart, a trial attorney at Parker and McCartney, told the Mirror U.S. that Combs won't necessarily get them back. Items seized in a federal raid, whether it's firearms, electronics, personal devices like lube and baby oil, are held in secure government evidence facilities. Stewart revealed if Diddy is found not guilty, his lawyers can file a motion to get those items back, but it's not guaranteed. Anything tied to alleged crimes or considered contraband can be kept or destroyed by the government, even if it's legal to own. So there is that. There y'all. Child. Finally, Gina Hayu says she won't be afraid if her ex-boyfriend Diddy is acquitted in federal trial, saying he's not dangerous despite past abuse allegations. Right. So, though federal prosecutors identified Hun as victim number 3 in the sex trafficking incident, she did not previously testify during trial. Authorities previously say they struggled to contact her even with a subpoena. So yeah, there is that there. And then here is Gina right here speaking. Shout out to the Shade Room. Here we go.
Hi, Gina. How you doing? I have a quick question for you. You think Diddy's going to win this trial? You don't know? Okay. I've been hearing a lot of stories. Everybody been hearing like maybe you were kidnapped or like something like crazy. Like we just hearing a lot of stuff. Is there anything you can clear up or anything like that?
No, I'm safe. I'm not kidnapped.
Real quick, before you go, I just what I want to know. If Diddy does win this trial, do you think your life will be threatened in any kind of way?
No.
You don't think so? You think everything will be safe? Because the girl Aubrey O'Day, she said that if Diddy wins, she leaves the country.
I mean, he never did anything dangerous to me. I'm not scared.
You're not scared? Okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Okay.
So there you go there. Y'all, let's do the Daily Motivator. And out here. By the way, Gia Hayu also went on Toss Away Case channel. Let's do it. It's the Daily Motivator, everybody. We gotta end it on a good note somehow, child. There we go. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Albert Einstein very well said. It's time for the Daily Motivator for Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. Powerful response. Keep your thoughts clear. Don't let them be hijacked by the behavior of others. By all means, pay attention to what people do. Consider their actions and respond appropriately when necessary, yet seek to be intentional rather than reactionary. Many times, the point of someone else's outrageous behavior is to provoke a specific reaction from you. Refuse to cede control of your thoughts to such a ploy. Outrage in return for outrage won't get good results. Instead, utilize the power of your mind in a calm, purposeful state. Give yourself time to formulate and follow through with a positive, effective response that will accomplish much more than an immediate impulsive reaction. Take a beat, establish some perspective, get clear on exactly what you wish to accomplish and why. That's what will enable your most powerful response, Ralph Morrison. It's interesting that Ralph Morrison will say this. The first thing, right, that the most powerful response is really not the circumstances surrounding the response, but how people accept the response. And I think we saw that today with what happened outside New York. Responses do not matter unless they have power. That's the first thing I'll tell you. The second thing I'll tell you is this. Outrage in return for outrage won't get good results. If you do not say anything about what needs to be said, hell will always rain down. You will never get a heaven of justice if you allow a hell of disaster proportions to rise. That's the second thing. And finally, the third thing here, because we do everything in threes over here. Get clear on exactly what you wish to accomplish and why. Establish perspective and take a beat. Remember this. In everything you do, make sure that what you are giving, you want to receive. And I think that's where I'm at with this whole day trial, is that everybody who did what they did in New York today with the baby oil, I just hope that if any of your family members, friends, associates, colleagues, whoever in your life, or even you go through what any of those women did, hopefully your response will be just as loud as your response was for celebrating somebody who was a criminal. With that being said, everybody, it's time for the best control on YouTube. Know what you do and do what you know. Never say one more special, because you are always one of us, and trust you may not be where you want to be, but by the end of it, you'll be where you need to be. Do what you've been chosen to do. Why? It's one thing to call yourself. It's another thing to be chosen. One love, much love, all love. I have spent time with you. You have spent time with me. Hopefully, by spending time together, we'll be great together. And always remember where you're doing radio, television, YouTube, living your best life, or just showcasing. Hey, listen. Status does not mean shit if you don't have a compass. Make sure the replay is not just for you watch it, not just for you listen to it, but for you want to experience it again. I love you, I value, I embrace you. I'll always remember, see love, God give it, or see love, God give it, or see love, God give it. Wherever obstacles you have overcome, wherever success you have achieved upon this particular day, I'm extremely proud of you, but no one's proud of you, be proud of your damn self. And finally, y'all, this case is not going to matter unless all of us rise up to be a solution. And believe me, if the people you hang around are accepting this energy of that this is okay, they are problems, and you need to cut yourself off from them. Commercial break and fireworks coming your way for the day that was, for the day that's coming, for the blessing on the way for you and all of us as a society, as a people, and as a culture. I feel the love and send it right back to you. Bye, everybody. 8:30, 90-Day Fiance, Hunt for Love. Bye, everybody. This is your last tour. Good morning, afternoon, good evening, based on your location. Bye.
I thought I should tell you, they've been talking about you. Yeah, they've been talking about you. They've been talking about the fact that they've done everything they could to stop you and everything they could to block you, but you still win. They've been talking about the fact that they have undermined your success and they have tried to sabotage your seasons. but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that even though they don't like each other, they get together to try to kill you, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that you were voted least likely to succeed, but like cream, you keep rising to the top. They've been talking about how they tried to burn your world down, but like the phoenix, you rose from the ashes. They've been talking about you. And you know what they say? Oh, she's just lucky. He's just lucky. But no, you ain't lucky. You're anointed. You got something on you. You got favor on you. You got power on you. You were born to win. Now, they can call it luck, but it's grace. They can call it luck, but it's favor. But whatever they call it, it doesn't matter, because you know what God calls you? Do you know what God calls you? A winner. I thought I should.
Because here's the thing, a good streamer can find other content.